Jujutsu Kaisen, arguably the best new gen show right now, is home to some of the best abilities in anime. You know the abilities are broken when you start having comparisons to the big three, like Goku, Naruto, and Ichigo. The power system in Jujutsu Kaisen is one of the most complicated to understand, and it's confusing at first. That makes it difficult to really rank how strong the curse techniques are, so I'll do it for you. Here are the top 10 curse techniques to date. Warning, there are manga spoilers ahead. Coming in at number 10, we have Jogo. Jogo was one of the disaster curses working alongside the fake Geto, also known as kenjaku. His curse technique is called Disaster Flames, and this technique allows him to produce and control flames and lava. That explains why his head is shaped like Mount Fiji. With this technique, he can shoot heat blasts from the palms of his hands and create small volcanic openings that erupt beams from them. He can also control the temperature of flames and dictate the strength they are released. Jogo was said to be around 8 to 9 of Sukuna's fingers in terms of strength. He was also able to put down 2 grade 1 sorcerers and Maki in seconds. During his fight with Sukuna, Jogo displayed how powerful and destructive his flames can be. He wreaked havoc all over Shibuya, and it's a shame he had to fight Sukuna, who was way too strong for him. We would never really get to see Jogo's potential because he got stomped by the top 2 in the verse, and the other people he fought were no match. Maybe he would have been higher on the list had he been able to develop more, but that doesn't take away his extreme power and raw talent. Coming in at number 9, we have Higurama. Hiromi is the more complex character in JJK. Hiromi was a defense attorney who would take on difficult cases of the wrongfully accused. He's a grade 1 sorcerer who has talents and intelligence comparable to Gojo. After losing another case due to unfair means, Hiromi ends up killing the judge and prosecutor in a fit of rage, which leads up to his unique curse technique called Judgment. Judgment summons a Shikigami that holds a scale in each arm. This technique makes Hiromi the judge, jury, and executioner, while making his Shikigami the prosecutor. Judgment relies on Hiromi creating a domain expansion that forces the opponent into a non-aggression pact. Once it begins, Hiromi starts prosecuting his opponent for any crimes they've ever committed in their lives. The domain then summons a random piece of evidence that Hiromi can use. Depending on the evidence and the testimony of the opponent, the judgment passes a sentence which matches the level of the crime. The ruling is typically confiscation, which removes the opponent's curse energy and curse technique. In the event of a death penalty, Hiromi summons the executioner's sword, which instantly kills anyone it cuts. Coming in at number 8, we have Suguru Geto's curse technique, curse spirit manipulation. This technique is a kind of technique that constantly grows in strength. The technique allows Geto to absorb cursed spirits that he has conquered or weakened. Once he consumes these spirits, he can summon them whenever he pleases. He can absorb curses, and the stronger the curse he absorbs, the stronger they become. There is no known limit on the amount of cursed spirits he can consume, or if there is a limiter on how strong the curse can be, but the technique has a high ceiling. The best part about this curse technique is the maximum Uzumaki. The maximum Uzumaki takes absorbed cursed spirits and turns it into a powerful swirl of cursed energy. The user can then release it forward and unleash an attack full of condensed curse energy. This was displayed in JJK 0 when Geto was fighting against Yuta Okotsu. Coming in at number 7, we have Yuta Okotsu with his copy technique. Yuta has displayed extraordinary feats when it comes to different abilities. Yuta's copy is a well-rounded technique because he can pull from other sorcerers and diversify his fighting style. He is also able to copy the curse technique of other sorcerers, which should be innate genetic abilities. The requirements for the copy is still unknown, but the curse technique he did copy are top of the line, such as Inumaki's curse speech. He displayed just how broken it could be in the right hands. Also, Yuta was able to copy Kenjaku's body swap, allowing him to enter Gojo's body. Where this ability becomes really broken is during the domain expansion. He has a field of swords, and whenever he chooses a sword, he copies his opponent's curse technique and a curse technique he used in the past. His domain also acts like other domains with the sure hit effect, and he can copy the domains of his other opponents, but the only difference is the appearance. The only reason his curse technique is so low on this list is because the originality of the technique. It relies on others' innate abilities to be useful. Coming in at number 6, we have Disaster Curse Mahito and his Idol Transfiguration. Idol Transfiguration allows Mahito to manipulate the soul of anyone he has direct physical contact with. He can also do the same to himself. Idol transfiguration essentially reshapes the soul and results in almost immediate death with human souls. Mahito can use it on himself with no side effects. He can take on whatever form is most useful. That can increase his speed, strength, and also gives his body free reign to turn into weapons. The best way to deal damage to Mahito would be by striking him right in his soul. Only Yuji was capable of doing this. His true form, he becomes 200% more powerful and he can create shockwaves. He also increases the defense tremendously, but the downside is he can't use idle transfiguration to change his shape when he wants. This curse technique is deadly, which is why he was able to kill Nanami and Nobara within seconds. For number 5, we have a tie between Angel's Jacob's Ladder and Yuki's Star Rage. Angel's Jacob's Ladder is an extension technique. An extension technique are original abilities that are innate to Jujutsu sorcerers. Angel's Jacob's Ladder is considered to be one of the most powerful techniques in Jujutsu Kaisen. The technique casts a magic array in the sky while sounding a trumpet and light descends from it. It nullifies all curse techniques and objects caught within its light. This technique even had the King of Curses on his knees. The only downside to this curse technique is it has a small chance of reverting an incarnation to its previous state. Next we have Yuki's Star Rage. This curse technique allows her to add a virtual mass onto her body. Yuki is able to gather strength that is disproportionate to her size. Her curse technique has no effect on her and has no limit to how strong it can get. Yuki can turn herself into a black hole by adding large amounts of mass onto herself, which in turn deletes everything within an immediate range in an instant. Her curse technique was said to be so strong that if she continued to build mass, it would destroy the entire world. For number 4, we have the 10 Shadows technique. The 10 Shadows technique is a hereditary ability passed down through the Zenin clan. It allows the user to summon 10 different Shikigami that vary in strength and capabilities. These Shikigami can only be used after the user defeats it in combat. Some users are able to manifest the abilities of the tame Shikigami into themselves. We see an example of this with Sukuna using the elephant's waves. But the peak of this curse technique is the Sacred Treasure, Divine General, Mahoraga the Op Stopper. Mahoraga is a combination of all the Shikigami into one entity. It has never been tamed until now with Sukuna. What makes Mahoraga so powerful is his ability to adapt. He can adapt to almost all curse techniques. When hit by an attack, the 8-handled wheel turns, allowing him to heal and adapt to the attack. The only way to completely defeat Mahoraga is to one-shot him. There aren't many attacks capable of doing so without him adapting, which is what makes the 10 Shadows technique so powerful. At the number 3 spot, we have Gojo and his curse technique, Infinity. The power of Infinity controls the space around the user. The user can effectively stop any object from ever touching its skin. This curse technique also comes with 2 other abilities, Blue and Red. Blue creates a center of attractive force, while Red creates a center repellent force. Combine these 2 abilities and you get Purple. With Purple, Gojo creates imaginary mass that erases anything within its path from reality. This was another attack that has enough destructive power to erase Mahoraga. Another advantage of Infinity is the domain expansion, Infinite Void. Infinite Void presents the target with limitless information, forcing them to see and feel everything, while seeing and feeling nothing at the same time, causing a slow death. The only thing stopping Infinity from being higher on this list is that it has to be paired with 6 Eyes. Limitless has extreme fatigue and requires immense focus. Without the 6 Eyes, the Limitless technique is ironically limited. But paired with the 6 Eyes is arguably the best curse technique there is. Coming in at number 2, we have Shrine by the King of Curses, Sukuna. Sukuna's curse technique Shrine has extremely destructive abilities such as Cleave and Dismantle. These are the slashing and dicing abilities we see Sukuna use time and time again. Cleave increases the striking power by tailoring the strikes to match the level of his opponents. Dismantle allows Sukuna to slash through his opponents and other objects with ease. When Sukuna uses both of these techniques at the same time, it generates heat and creates his other ability, Fuga. Fuga is one of Sukuna's strongest attacks and was able to one-shot Mahoraga and Jogo. The Shrine technique doesn't stop there, because Sukuna is able to create an open barrier domain and the range is huge, judging by the aftermath of the fight he had with Mahoraga. Sukuna was also able to learn a new technique called World Cutting Slash. It cuts through space and existence, giving Sukuna the ability to cut through infinity. And for the number 1 best curse technique, we have Comedian by Takaba. Takaba's comedian has unlimited possibilities. Comedian is a curse technique that can make anything happen as long as the user finds it funny. This can range from super strength, healing, flight, immunity, practically everything goes. This ability is eternally active, meaning that it is on at all times, needing no activation. Takaba was a failed comedian because he was ironically the only one who found his jokes funny. Luckily, it doesn't really have any effect on him. The only factor holding Takaba back from being the strongest in the verse is his lack of awareness. Takaba is not aware of his curse technique and doesn't understand that if he wanted to be, he could be the strongest character and rival Gojo and Sukuna for the top sorcerer spot. Takaba would easily be special grade with at least the slightest amount of knowledge for his abilities. There are other curse techniques that didn't make the list, but it doesn't mean that they aren't powerful. An honorable mention for a technique would be Hikari's, but his technique is more focused on his domain than the actual curse technique. He has one of the most broken domains in the entire verse, but that's for another video. The manga is still ongoing and there's still room for potential new curse techniques like Yuji's to emerge, but as of right now, these are the top curse techniques. Let me know if you would change anything on this list. Subscribe for more.